Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm decorating a Christmas theme envelope and making some ephemera to send to my pen pals. So I'm choosing here to use a pre-made Christmas card which has beautiful decoration that I'm gonna use to send to my pen pals. And I'm gonna choose two of these envelopes for my current pen pals. I always start with the envelope itself, and I want this one to feel like the kind of letter you'd find tucked inside of a storybook. Something very magical, very handmade, very nostalgic, something that you know that a friend made for you. And I decided to go first with the envelope that I'm gonna send to Adrienne, which is a very good friend. I have two current pen pals, Ari and Adrienne. Ari is the one friend that I have for the longest time, and I really enjoy writing back and forth letters with these two ladies. So I really appreciate the time that they allow me to be part of their lives. So I decided that for this envelope I'm gonna create a layered um, Christmas kind of decoration in the bottom of the envelope, and that's why I'm layering these scraps. I really don't want to make add too much work on it. I'm just gonna paste the scraps just in the way they are. I think that's the perfect look for what I'm trying to achieve, which is something that is looking very handmade like. Um, And while I'm doing this, I really think sending this piece feels like sending small pieces of myself. And that's why my pen pal friendship feels so meaningful. They are slow, they are deliberate, and they are made of time and attention. Uh, it just feels like it's something that is out of this digital world. Um, that is something that is always forgotten. And for this decoration I'm cutting this wrapping paper that is in art deco style. When I saw this wrapping paper I immediately knew that I needed to have it and use it as much as I could in some of my crafts. I really loved the design and I thought that this would be great to add decorations to my pen pals. And so I decided to cut some Christmas trees. As you can see, I folded the paper in halves and then I cut them in the shape of a tree. The idea is stacking some of these trees between this scrap of book paper, and we can create a beautiful Christmas composition like a snow, and they are being covered with the trees in the middle. So I saw this decoration in Pinterest a long time ago, I think several years ago, and I had this saved in my posts for a long time. And today, since I'm doing something special, I decided to test it. And it's very funny when you think about it, because while I'm creating these pieces that took inside of the book pieces, I really feel like handmade ephemera feels like a tiny gift. It's far from perfect, but it's also not mass produced. It exists because somebody sat in there with intention, thinking of somebody else, somewhere else in the world. In my case, I deeply care about my friends. I took my friendships seriously and I picked them very carefully. Usually I only have very few friends or very few pen pals because I really think that every relationship deserves the care of another human being. So I try to send my friends handmade stuff. So it shows that I really wanted to share some stuff with them. And again, as you can see, I already put some of these pieces of the Christmas tree, and I try to accommodate them in such a way that they would not be covering the label with a jeans name. But then the idea is that I'm gonna paste them together and it's gonna look like a field of trees. Now you probably can see better what was the idea of this. I don't know if you can see or have the same vision that I have, but I find this interesting, funny, cute, and again handmade. And while I'm decorating, I'm thinking about really my pen pals. Sending letters feels like a very rare form of friendship nowadays. Very slow, as you can see here, but also very thoughtful. And it's also almost quiet. It's not just sending an email, it's not as quick, it's not as fast, it's not as easy. It takes time, and it really reminds me a lot of the relationships in The Little Prince. The Little Prince is one of the books that I always return to. Always. I read that when I was about probably 8 or 9 years old, and I returned to that book several times through my life. I read books that are more profound, some others that are more superficial, but in the meaning, The Little Prince always comes back to me, to my library. It's a short story, it's very easy to read, and I always find it deeply interesting. And The Little Prince has these relationships that are gentle, are fragile, but they are also deeply meaningful. Um, so when I think about these things that I send to my pen pals, I think this again they are uh, ideal because we created some kind of relationship that requires time and that it's worth it the effort. Because if you're creating superficial relationships, then you really are not investing. And is it even worth it to have a relationship without you investing time and care? I don't know. Maybe it's worth it, but I never found in my life something uh, that is really important and meaningful that you do not invest time for. And speaking of The Little Prince, I have been rereading that book recently, and it's very interesting because every time I return to it, a different part of the story speaks to me. When I was young, a little child, again, when I was probably 8 or 9, when I read that for the first time, the chapter with the fox felt very cute and warm to me. I thought it was a super cute relationship, and I remember that the book had a very beautiful picture of the little prince sitting with the fox, looking at the sunset, and I thought it was the cutest thing ever. But now I think it differently. When the fox asked to be tamed, it felt like a sweet idea when I was a kid, when I read it for the first time. It felt like a kid inviting another kid to play. So let's play together, let's be friends. That's how I read it. But now I see how profound and different it is, really. So the fox tells the little prince, if you tame me, we'll need each other. To me, you'll be unique in all the world. And I also remember some phrases like, your hair is gonna, when I see that field with this yellow color. I'm gonna think about you and the color of your hair, and you always will be unique for me. Um, and that's such a simple sentence, and yet it's very meaningful. When we connect with somebody, I mean, we truly connect, not through your coworker, not through the bus driver, you know, through connection. Then we make that person special. It's like when we walk through the world, everyone is just a figure, is just somebody existing until you connect with that person. And then in that moment, that this person start existing in your universe, in your world, because you just saw a person walking around. But then when you create connection, then you know the name of that person. You have certain idea about who that person is. You know, you just bond, and that bond changes everything. And speaking of changing everything, I'm adding here some additional. Um, we're gonna make some ornaments out of pieces of paper, the text that I have here. I'm gonna use my puncher, and then we're gonna create lines to create ornaments like decorations. Anyway, um, I know that I'm speaking a lot about this book, but I really think when I think about my penpals, I often think about that book. And the fox also says something like, when oh, you become responsible forever for who what you have tamed. And that is also very important. Like if you create a connection, a friendship connection, a love connection with somebody, then you should be responsible to take care of that, to nurture that. As a child, I thought that phrase meant to be nice to your friends. In my 20s, I thought it meant relationships take effort. But now that I'm in my 40s, I feel the bittersweetness of it. It means more than just keep something. It feels like how every relationship involves risk. You're responsible still for the connection, and you're gonna survive to it. But it's also vulnerable. Sometimes it's painful. But whatever it is, when you create a connection, when you feel the pain or the happiness or whatever it comes together with a relationship, it makes it even more real. It one of the moments that hit me the hardest when I reread this book now in my 40s is the relationship that the little prince has with the aviator, especially the farewell. Again, when I was a kid, I didn't really understand. Um, I thought it was, a kind of a weird and sad goodbye, but now it feels different. When the little prince tells the aviator he must return to his planet, he also says something like, "It will look like if I'm dead. It will look like it, but it won't be true." And when I was a kid, I was thinking, that's a weird thing. But of course, he will be sleeping. Of course, he will be going back to his rose. Of course, that's the only way to maybe leave the planet because he didn't have you know, something to take him back to his planet. Maybe he was just traveling around the universe through his soul and stuff like that. I started to imagine stuff. In my 20s, it still felt sad. But really, it wasn't until now that line really hit me. It's so delicate, so devastating, so sad. And because the way I understand this now is that he's trying to comfort the aviator, but it's also acknowledging that uh, the truth is that the relationship is gonna change forever, and it's painful, and he's trying to comfort it. Um, it's the kind of goodbye that adulthood teaches us when we know that we can hold into someone forever, no matter how much they mean to us. And maybe if you are as old as I am, you have gone through some of these relationships. I lost at least a couple of people that I care a lot about. One of the people that I lost several years ago was my brother-in-law. And I think that after what happened to him, the little prince didn't sound the same anymore. And so I feel like it is a different book to me now than it was several years ago. Because when we create relationships, even when the people who we love are gone, we need to trust that our relationship is still in there. Just like in The Little Prince, when he says to the aviator, "Hey, I'm gonna be sleeping, and it's gonna look like if I'm dead." Then when you lose somebody, it's like the aviator has to believe that this is true, that he's gonna look like if I'm dead, but he's not dead. It won't be true, he says, The Little Prince. And so I feel like it was comforting. And it's the same way that I felt when I lost my brother-in-law. We talked several times before he passed away. He was pretty sick for a while before he did. And it doesn't quite hurt as much, but I think when I was rereading this chapter, it came back to me, that relationship that I had with him, that idea that I have to believe that the invisible bond that I created with him is still there. And this book makes me think about how friendships evolve, how some people stay, others leave, and some remain only memory, but that every genuine connection really leaves a mark. And that is one of the reasons because I care a lot about sending mail, not emails, but mail, connecting with people and talking, not taking my phone to a dinner meeting with somebody who I want to hear. A couple of days ago was the birthday of my sister, my oldest sister, and I was leaving the office, and I told my husband, I'm not going to take my phone. I mean, I'm not a person who's constantly looking at the phone or anything, but when I'm working or it's, a very busy week or it's a very complicated month in my case, and the office has been very busy. I tend to look at the phone. I do. I can't help it. When it's not too busy, it's easier for me to disconnect, but this month has been really busy. And when I was going out with my sister and I asked her to take her for dinner, I just wanted to be with her. I just wanted to disconnect. I want to I wanted to be responsible with that relationship with my sister. And so I didn't take my phone. And believe me, that was the best decision I could have made. The dinner was amazing. I really didn't miss anything relevant from work. Um, I mean, it could wait an hour or 1 hour and a half that you're gonna be out for dinner. Um, so I think some of the lessons of this book as of today, they are still teaching me stuff. They are still feeling different. When I read this book uh, as a kid, it just felt like a cute book. You know, like the idea of the drawing of the hat instead of the or the snake eating the elephant and stuff like that kind of had a different connotation. Now that I'm in my 40s and I reread that book, and I feel like I wanted to cry. It was so sad. There are so many moments in The Little Prince that are so profound, so sad, so different. It hit me really different. And so when I was writing these letters for my penpals, I just was thinking, I really want to tell them in, in some words more than just hi. You know, it's very important for me to share with them. And I usually send them also some ephemera, just like in this case. I am adding some bits and pieces here and there, just find everywhere in my craft room. But to me, every time they send me mail, and my husband can testify that, I run to the mailbox and I find the letters, I put the ephemera that they send me on the side, and I don't care. I mean, it's not like I don't care, but it really is secondary to me. I just feel like a little girl trying avidly to read what they want to tell me. I want to read what are they doing. Adrienne, for example, is such an amazing lady who is always doing stuff, is always busy, always has tons of plans, and I love it. I love it so much. And the older I get, the more I treasure relationships, the more I care about uh, reclaiming my mental health and my um, analog life, and having a place for myself, a place for connecting to myself and with others rather than connecting to a computer. In general, I treasure relationships deeply, especially these kind of relationships. When you have people who take the time to write to you, to create something special for you, to create meaningful connections, because connections go both ways, right? You make part of the plan, but the other person has to be connected as well, or else there's no connection. um, these relationships really matter because um, it is all about presence. It's about choosing to care. It's about choosing to stay in touch, even if it's late, as I am usually at my pen pals now. It's about choosing to create something meaningful. Um, when you think about it, really, uh, the universe is billions of years old, and we're here like a moment. It's not even a second. It's nothing. It's a breath, a flicker. We're just stardust that learn how to feel, how to write, how to love. But our problems are nothing. The universe is incredibly huge, and we don't even understand it. So in this tiny moment that we have, Maybe the best thing that we can do is nurture the connections that matter, to make each other special, to tame each other gently, to care about other people, to treasure letters, friendships, and share a moment, maybe to just grab a cup of coffee. And part of the relationships is the relationship that you have with yourself too. It's about how you decide to enjoy yourself. Do you drink a cup of coffee? Do you take 1 second between um, shifts or work to just walk or even to just blink? Because sometimes I even forget to blink. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. When you're facing to the computer, sometimes you just forget about very basic important things. And I think it's important to reclaim our part of humanity, our connections, our time, and our seconds of enjoyment. Yesterday I was listening to a TED talk. I can't remember exactly what her last name is, but her name is Amanda, and she was talking about why we must create art. And I always have the issue to call my crafts not art because I don't think I'm an artist. And she was saying that every expression of humans is art, like these creations. Even maybe creating this envelope that I'm making right now, it's art. It's creating more than ever, more now that there is an AI, because it claims our connections, our humanity. AI can do it better, I'm sure, but AI cannot create what you can create, and it's okay if they do it better. It is okay. So I was listening to her. I was reading The Little Prince, and it all came together. And since today I was working on these penpals um, letters, I was thinking maybe I will share this with the people who are watching, and maybe you're bored of this all of this conversation, and I apologize for talking a lot about this, but I thought it was important to share, just because sometimes I myself forget about these things. Sometimes I go with my son somewhere and I had a very difficult day at the office, and then I am checking my phone when he's talking to me about how he won the race with his classmates in school and stuff like that, and then I feel guilty, right? So there are important things and there are relevant things. And I think that whatever comes from your family is important. So anyway, I have been talking a lot. I'm gonna probably just finish this sweet envelope that I was creating. I really wanted to share um, this scrap of paper. I love it. It really is one of the most elegant lines, and if you see the designs is art deco, and I was thinking, oh, I need to share this. I mean, I can't just keep it. I have lots of scraps of this, and making an envelope feel just so natural. Plus I wanted to share these punched faux postage stamps, I would say, from wallpaper, and they are amazing, aren't they? So I'm gonna put this inside and then close it with a sticker of a geisha that I made the other day for my shop, and they are just so cute. Anyway, so I really appreciate that you spend all these minutes with me. I hope that this video inspires you to slow down, to write somebody you love, and to really cherish your connection with the same tenderness that the little prince show in, in his universe. Just enjoy life and keep connected. See you next week.